It is Mercury retrograde. I have been talking for 6 minutes. And I did not go live because I clicked the go live button and my software did not go live. Hello, how's everyone doing? I'm infuriated. It was originally supposed to be, I started talking 8 minutes ago. And, you know what? We're having a great day. How is everyone doing? My mood is now soured. My mood is now soured. I was going on a good rant, saw the go live button gray. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Cool. Cool. Good. Good. We're good now. Okay. Hello. I just had a wonderful rant about divination systems that is not recorded. Wow. We're having a great day so far. Sorry for being late. I started the stream, and then what ended up happening was I started the stream, and then it didn't go live. For all of 8 minutes. Did I mention Merc Retro is like next fucking week? Love that. Yeah, so. Good but sick. Gonna try some healing magic again? Sunday is great for healing magic. Sunday, Wednesday are my go-to for healing magic. Typically Sunday rather than Wednesday, unless I need something done like really quickly. But, so it is. So, as I already said in the first take of this, yeah, cool. The topic of today's stream is going to be divination. And the reason why it's divination is because I wanted to talk about divination. Divination is a really fun thing. Yeah, this, for those wondering, because it has definitely been a week. You missed a Dave rant? Oh, don't worry. I'm now fired up because of technical difficulties, which means you'll be getting it again. So, let's talk a little bit about divination, shall we? Divination is by far one of the topics I think I talk about divination pretty frequently on the channel, right? I think I talk about divination like, well, it's one of my most consistent things. And I just want to say, I love talking about divination on the channel. But I don't think I've ever mentioned, I don't think I have ever answered the question of what makes a good divination practice, right? Or like, what is a good divination system? So we're gonna do that here. And if anyone has any questions about divination systems, I'm just gonna answer them. And I'm just gonna put it right here. Because I know that the stream will eventually turn into Q&A at some point. That's just how that works, and that's why we're doing a Q&A stream all about divination. Welcome in, Rachel. Hope you are having a good day. Hope everyone is having a good day. Hope everyone gets better. Yeah. I started using the Geomancy in Greer's Geomancy book, and it has been great. Yeah, so I want to talk about that, because Geomancy, for those of you who don't know, my favorite divination system is Geomancy. Usually when when friends want a divination from me, I will usually go to Geomancy if it is available. Why? Because Geomancy is, in my experience, the most accurate, easy to read, and just flat out simple method of divination that is kind of available. Now, is it the only good method of divination I have? Well, no, I have tarot decks. I've used tarot decks. I'm not a fan of oracle decks just because I think they're a little bit too weird. I know some people like them, but I am not a fan. Now, if you like them, more power to you. My preferred method is going to be Geomancy, specifically the Geomancy that is given in John Michael Greer's book. I find the Geomancy in John Michael Greer's book to be absolutely fantastic for a majority of situations. And the reason I don't use it every time, because, you know, Greer's Geomancy book is great, but it's got a fatal flaw, and it's not because of John Michael Greer, it's because of the system. The system itself requires that it is not raining, or that there are clear skies. Now, I've found that this means that it needs to be clear skies, not overcast. It has been overcast here for almost a month. So, if I want to start using, you know, divination, I have to do something else. I can't just use Geomancy as much as I would like to, because Geomancy is my preferred method after all. I've started learning the Thoth system. It's been daunting. I also share the same opinion on Oracle decks. Yeah, if you like Oracle decks, more power to you, but I have never been a fan of them. They're just not for me. And that's fine, because, like, you know, it's not like, oh, Dave doesn't like Oracle decks that I have, like, a bunch of skill with. Well, I guess I should throw them away. If you're getting good results with Oracle decks, keep using them. That's just how it is. But, I personally don't find them very useful. Maybe that's just because I prefer Rider-Waite Tarot. I don't know. I'm a stickler for older occult tools. Yeah. Now, sounds like there's no flaw to it in dry climates. Yeah, but the flaw there is you have to live in dry climates. So, you know, that kind of, and it doesn't work. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, every form of divination has its, like, little quirks. Not all of these quirks are going to be bad, but, you know, quirks are quirks. There is a whole thing about how... Do you guys know... Chat, do you know why tarot cards are so big that it, like, hurts the hands of most people unless you have, like, gigantic monster hands? Does everyone know why that is? It's a really strange reason. Fair enough, I'm just exploring different ideas right now. That's good. Do that. It's important to explore different ideas, because you might, you know, you might find something you like way better than what other people are doing, and that's totally fair. Psychic air physics? Yes, actually. So, for those of you who don't know, they believed that the air actually carries the psychic winds, right? They believe that air actually carries, like, the psychic winds, and that's why tarot cards are huge, because they're trying to get more surface area for the psychic winds to affect the cards. That's, like, actually the reason. As absolutely bizarre as that sounds. So yeah. I don't find tarot cards that big. You know, people with really small hands. So that's why I say that tarot cards are too big for some people's hands. Like, actually, they're just huge. No way. Yeah, no, it's literally psychic wind. As insane as that sounds. Where does that idea come from? It comes from Agrippa. Oh yeah, bet you weren't expecting that one. Yeah, so the psychic wind phenomenon. Let's talk about that for a little bit. It is believed by Agrippa that all dreams come from... It is believed by Agrippa that all dreams and divination are brought to magicians by the winds. Good. I'm just gonna say that this is not the kind of... No. If you want to, like, message me in private about that, I'll take a look at it, but now is not the time. It makes sense. Ideas are like clouds. Yeah, that's what it is. I will say, like, it's just another case of there's some weird thing in Agrippa that it's like, why do we believe this weird thing in occultism? And it's like, because Agrippa said it. And then you read Agrippa and it's like, oh yeah, it's right there in the field manual. Makes sense to me. I've always found Aquarius is more psychic than Scorpio, being the fixed signs, of course. Oh yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense, because Scorpio is not the sign of divination. That's Pisces. Scorpio is the sign of magic. Scorpio doesn't care what the future holds, because Scorpio is just going to change the future anyways. There you go. Damn, can you repeat that? Repeat what? Sorry about that. I apologize for the ads. Sounds like I need to commit to reading that. I've gotten through the first chapter so far. It's best to read Agrippa in sections. There are different sections of Agrippa that are better or worse. Not all of Agrippa is necessarily good. Never mind, it's okay. Sorry about that, guys. I do not control when commercials are placed, unfortunately. I do not control the ads. Merely that the ads appear. But yeah. So yeah, that's why they believed that, the winds... Oh, I lost my train of thought for a second there. Alright, yeah, so that's why they believed that, tarot cards needed to be, like, larger. Because if you look at a standard playing card deck, like, if you look at a standard card and a tarot card next to each other, the tarot card is going to be huge by comparison. So, the tarot cards being huge by comparison is because of Agrippa. Like, Directly. It is directly because of Agrippa. As weird as that might sound to some people, because why would Agrippa think that? Well, where do dreams come from? Agrippa thought they literally came from the air. So that is why Agrippa thinks the things he does. This is also the same mechanism by which the Geomancy doesn't work. Because if the weather outside is a problem, oh. Make George, I love your cloud analogy. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that air is more telepathic, definitely. There's also a weird problem, and this is something that really is kind of hard to figure out where this started, but there is a whole thing about how water and air have this weird connection, so a lot of people get confused about water and air for various different reasons. How much of divination is guesswork or intuition, and how much is certain knowledge? That's a good question. So it depends on the system, right? So when it comes to things like... Okay, so when it comes to things like Geomancy, it's a lot less guesswork, and it's... This is what the... You know, this is what the figures are, this is what it says. Here is the answer to X, Y, and Z. You know, that kind of thing. But, and this is where it gets weird, tarot can be more intuition-based because there's a lot more meaning to tarot. And I'll be honest, tarot doesn't have an entire section where it's like, this card is bad for love. This card is bad for money. Geomancy does. Bone readings is all intuition, right? So it goes from... It's a sliding scale of there is little intuition to a lot of intuition. As weird as that sounds. Now, when it comes down to it, I prefer divination systems with a bit more intuition. That's just me. These are going to be things like tarot, less geomancy, but it can be that when interpreting like how the different figures interact with each other. Or like, should I do X, right? And then you get like parser, which is parser, for those of you who don't know, geomancy is like the figure of staying still, which would probably be a no, or you are going to do it anyways and your opinion has not changed. That is also an option in geomancy, as weird as that sounds. So yeah, it's mostly going to be dependent on the actual system you're using, because there's also an act of interpretation, right? Which is why I have I Ching in the title of the video, in the title of the stream, because I Ching, the only problem with I Ching is going to be your interpretation of it. That is going to be the only problem with I Ching. And the reason why is because, I don't know if anyone knows I Ching. The way I Ching works is that you have an entire book. The book is a series of poems, and you are throwing the coins to figure out which of the poems to read. And that's where I Ching comes in. Now, if you are not in a sufficiently intuitive state, it doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what system you're using. In my experience, the divination will not work. As annoying as that is. Because, let's be honest, it is really annoying. Because sometimes you just want to pull some cards, and those cards will direct you into whatever answer you're looking for, right? Now, is that, is that going to be for everyone, right? Do you need to figure out every particular meaning of every configuration of divination? Well, no, right? Think of it like this. You ask a question to tarot. Let's make it really simple. You do a 1-card divination to tarot, right? And it's a simple question that you would be asked regularly, like, am I going to lose my job, right? And you end up getting, like, 72 different answers. What is a sufficiently intuitive state? It's a meditative state where you don't need to force anything. It's like a weird psychic flow state. It's one where you are asking questions and the questions are answered and they also make sense. Because this is gonna sound really weird. If you're not in the right state, you'll feel like completely normal and you'll feel like you're just shuffling cards. Now, this is more difficult when you are first starting out, because over time you eventually will learn how to get into a proper meditative state and a proper intuitive state for divination. But a weird thing happens when you're not in like a trance or a flow state. The cards just kind of feel like it's a weird, almost staticky. Like, it doesn't make sense for the cards to say what they're saying. Which is how you know you weren't in a proper state. I've read you can only ask how or why questions when using tarot. Is that true? No. No, you can ask tarot whatever kind of question you want. I would not ask time questions, though. Tarot is bad at time. If you want a time question, I would go to Geomancy for that. But you can ask Geomancy Geomancy. You can ask divination systems whatever you're looking for. And as long as you know what to ask, you can ask whatever you want, right? Now, you might want to phrase it a different way, but you can ask all questions to every divination system. The quality of the answer is going to depend entirely on the divination system, though. Right? So, like, if I ask, what time is this thing going to happen to tarot, tarot might say, like, the moon. Well, what does that mean? Meanwhile, Geomancy has an entire system for calculating the time for things. Yeah. It's more of a case of, just because you can, does not mean you should. Because, divination is going to give you different results, even to the same question, because of the system. I've heard the opposite of the time thing. Haha, so confusing. Yeah, you can ask it. Time is like the biggest one a lot of people go to, right? People always say, don't ask tarot time questions. Tarot is really bad at time divination. And I would agree with him. You should not be asking tarot about time questions. Because tarot is really bad at time divination. Because, like, okay, alright, let's just think about this for a second. I want to ask tarot a question of... I want to ask tarot, hey, tarot, when should I do this thing? Knight of Wands. Okay, what does that mean? Right? Meanwhile, Meanwhile, you go ahead and you ask, like, Geomancy, and Geomancy is like, yeah, in like a week. Like, trying to squeeze water from a dry rag. Yeah, it's trying to bleed a stone. Which, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with asking... You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to answer those questions because, you know, everyone wants different questions answered, but just because you have a divination system that can't answer the question doesn't mean you shouldn't ask it. You should just ask a different system. It's using the wrong tool, right? It's kind of like trying to eat soup using a fork, right? You can, but you'd be much better off with a spoon, right? That's kind of how I feel about the differences in divination tools. As weird as that might sound. Time a specific number, not much intuition can narrow it down. I mean, time is also very abstract, right? Like, time is not the kind of thing that is easily interpreted in divination unless the system has that as part of the system by itself, right? Like I've mentioned, Geomancy has it ad nauseum, but, you know, to be honest, I don't really know what Geomancy is. Geomancy is... What is time? Time is an illusion made by clockmakers to sell more clocks. So yeah, okay, so what is Geomancy? Geomancy is the practice of what is effectively generating a system of dots, and this system of dots leads to you getting the information about particular things, which is probably the most accurate description of anything I've given on the channel so far. So let's take a moment and figure this out. So I have a set of dice. Here you go, dog. Don't spend it all at once. Thank you, Lord Maru, for the $3.50. I keep forgetting I have super chats enabled. Thank you. Like TGE books. Do I have to swear allegiance to the HGA if I do the Obermillum like TGE book says? What is the TGE book? You don't swear allegiance to anything, what? I swear I'm about to go on a crusade. A crusade against these terrible, terrible HGA books. But yeah, no. Geomancy is really cool, it's just not... The book doesn't say that you swear allegiance to the HGA. That's not what the book says. And no, you don't. Don't swear allegiance to anything, no. You get the demons to swear allegiance to you, but you don't swear allegiance to the HGA. The HGA is supposed to be a teacher. You don't swear allegiance to teachers. Oh. Thank you, Chip, for the $2. Upper Melon Bingo check. Oh, God. Yeah, no. I didn't even bring it up this time on... Yeah, no. You don't swear allegiance to the HGA in the Book of Upper Melon. That's not what's going on there. I'm gonna go easy on the donos from now on, though. It's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna lie. I usually forget that they exist until somebody does it, and it's like, thank you guys. I appreciate it. But yeah. Okay, so where were we? I think we were talking about Geomancy, right? Yeah, so Geomancy is... You take a set of... Traditionally, you would make dots on the ground, count them up. But there's also... There is also the system where you just, like, roll dice. I personally roll dice because I find that to be much more convenient. Because, let's be honest, rolling dice is more convenient than, you know, going through and not rolling dice. Because otherwise you have to get, like, an entire dice bag, or, like, a consecrated stone bag set according to the Golden Dawn, and you pour out stones, and it's a whole thing. Traditionally, they would make, like, dots in the ground, and they would get a number, and if it was odd, they would write 1 dot, and if it was even, they would write 2 dots. And they would get 4 of these, and that would give you a geomantic figure, and you would start from the top and go down. So it would be like 1, 2, 1, 2, hypothetically. Use Geomancy to predict what the DM has planned mid-game. Theoretically, you could. You theoretically could. But they're supposed to be, like, consecrated or well-used for the system, right? And I would highly recommend, for those of you wondering, you should probably go ahead and break in whatever divination system you're using meaningless nonsense questions. Yes, meaningless nonsense questions are useful. Reason why is because if it can't answer meaningless questions that aren't important, how can you trust it to, you know, how can you trust it with the big questions? And the answer is you can't. It can't. Just how it works. Is it personal to ask what you use divination for? Whatever I feel needs to be asked. Like, are you asking, like, what I usually use it for? Or are you asking for, like, meaningless questions you can just ask it to, like, get better at divination? Because there is a canned response for that one, and it's, what should I have for dinner? Or should I order pizza? As absolutely insane as that sounds. Bring your fidget dice and only use them for meaningless dice rolling separate from the actual session? You could. You could very easily do that, but you would also have to make an entire geomancy chart. Or you could do it in your head. And for those of you wondering, a good website to use for geomancy calculation for like charts and stuff is georatio.org. It's either georatio.com or georatio.org. That's what I use. It's really useful. Like, you should be able to Google georatio and find it. Hail it up. Welcome in. Welcome in, yeah. I will say, funny enough, Geomancy used to be more popular than, like, art or anything. I don't know. Need to think about that more, I think. Well, like, okay. Things you can ask Geomancy that are, like, barely reasonable to ask, right? How is this thing going to go? Right? Should I talk to this person about this thing? What's going to happen if I do talk to this person about this thing? Right? Like, oh, should I talk to Sally Jim about why they're named Sally Jim? What's gonna happen if I do? Right? Should I talk to Billy Bob about Billy Bob's car that he has for sale? What would happen if I buy this trailer that I'm looking at? What would happen if I choose X, Y, and Z people as a lab partner? Yeah. Okay. I was thinking a little too deeply about it. Yeah, no, don't worry. This is why I recommend silly questions like, should I order a pizza? Should I order a pizza? I will say, while I do like Geomancy more than Tarot, Tarot does have certain things about it that just make it, honestly, a lot more convenient a lot of the time. Like, Geomancy has a rule where you can't use it if the weather is bad. And, it has been overcast here for like a month. So guess who hasn't been able to do Geomancy? Me. I'm guessing GeoRatio is a website with a bunch of Latin in it. No, GeoRatio is just like a chart, like a Geomancy chart program. Website. That's all it is. Hi Dave, sorry to get off topic, but I have to drive soon. Thoughts on Michael syncretized with Helios, and the PGM says Helios rules over the angels. Helios in the PGM is syncretized with the Most High. That's why that is. Yeah, no, in the PGM, Helios is syncretized with the Most High. That's why that is. Yeah, it looks like a chart, but half the words are in Latin. That's because half of Geomancy is in Latin. Half of Geomancy is always in Latin. It's just, that's how it is. If you can get around the incredible density of Latin, it is a wonderful system that you should use. If you can't, I'm sorry. Well, is the weather thing linked to Psychic Wind's idea? Yeah, it's the idea is that if it is bad weather outside, then the area is actually energetically unstable, and therefore divination won't work right. However, for some reason, tarot still works just fine. So it seems to only be baked into the geomantic system. I have not seen this as an issue with I Ching, tarot, any other divination system, just geomancy. Who here understands Latin? I do not, but I understand enough Latin to do geomancy. Which, make of that what you will. I don't know if that says more about me or my relationship with Latin. Well, a good chunk of Latin is intuitive if you were raised in a language with a Latin script. That is true. Yeah, that's just true. Yeah, Latin is not that bad of a language to learn, but at the same time, Latin is used for varying degrees of, like, usefulness, I've noticed. Latin is not used as much as, like, when I got into the occult, I thought Latin would be used a lot more than it was. I'll put it that way. Latin was not used nearly as much as I thought it would be when I got involved in the occult. That being said, neither was the amount of Hebrew. Now, Hebrew, it's proving difficult because I can't read the script. Hebrew, when you learn the Hebrew script, I know enough Hebrew to just be able to read Occultist's Hebrew. What in Latin, what is good Latin for besides... Wow, I don't know why I had such a problem reading that. Okay. Latin is really only good for talismans and translating old books, usually attributed to Solomon, a person who definitely would not have known Latin. Like, in my experience, that really is all that Latin is good for, is talismans, and that's about it, actually. Just talismans. I don't know why that is, but that seems to really be the only thing it's useful for. Am I forgetting something, like, really important that Latin is useful for? Am I forgetting something? I feel like I am. Oh no. I feel like I'm forgetting something else that Latin is useful for, but I just can't remember what it is right now. I did not prepare Latin notes for this stream, so... But usually Latin is useful for, like, translating old grimoires. And that is, like, the majority of it. If you're a lawyer. Yeah, that's true. Latin is also great if you want to say something that sounds magical to the layman. That's true. That's true. You can just scare the crap out of people who don't know what they're talking about with that. It's better for Gematria. Oh, is it good for Gematria? I don't do Gematria as much as I can, if I can help it, so that explains a lot. You know, I try to avoid Gematria whenever possible. What's a bridge language? I believe that's where you can use it to bridge. What is that? That's like a linguistics thing. Like, that's actually like a linguistics thing. I don't know what it's actually for. I'm not a linguist. I'm not a linguist. I do not study languages more than I need to. Which, you know, I kind of need to know languages. It's a term you made up. No, I've heard that term before, though. Like, I've heard that term before. Which is why I'm taking it seriously. You might have made it up, but I think linguists actually use that phrase. For bridging two related languages? Yeah, that's... okay, that's fair. The Gematria for English is literally just a copy of Latin Gematria in Agrippa, but it doesn't work best because it's not the original language. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I have seen people come up with an entire... Turn on all messages? I have live chat on. I have live chat on. What did I miss? Yeah. You know, I didn't miss any messages, I don't think. Yeah, no, it's for Latin. For Gematria. I don't see anything. What am I missing? What am I missing here? I don't understand. I don't understand. What am I not seeing? Oh yeah, no. It's just explain the concept like 3 times. No, I read it. I read it. Didn't I not read it? I did. It's because English Gematria is trash. So confused. Yeah, no, it's... that, like, I think that's right. Alchemy uses a lot of Latin. No, that's fair. That's fair. Alchemy does use a lot of Latin. Also, Arabic. Arabic is tricky. I genuinely don't know what you would use Arabic for. I genuinely do not know what you would use Arabic for. Other than, like, Arabic magic systems, obviously, but, like... Yeah, no, that's... I don't know how to feel with that one. I will say, Gematria... I'm just gonna say it, I'm not the biggest fan of Gematria. I don't know if that's a me problem, or what, but I'm not a fan of Gematria. Like, the entire system feels very... annoying to me a lot of the time. The Arabic comment was related to alchemy. My bad for the confusion. Oh, no, that's... You're good. You're good. That's fair. I will say, alchemy in... Alchemy is one of those things that is, like, bizarrely prevalent in a lot of Western stuff. Even though most people, let's be honest, most people aren't going to use it. I don't think most people use alchemy as it was intended originally. Am I wrong? Am I wrong on that one? I use it if I see numbers in Skyrim. In Scrying. I've never seen that spell. Yeah. That's fair. Maybe that's my problem. I don't see numbers in Scrying. But alchemy, in and of itself, is like a wonderful process. Alchemy is a very interesting thing. As weird as that sounds, because alchemy is kind of like the original science of change, despite the fact that what we now know as alchemy became chemistry. Because... oh no, this is just what happened to it. It just became chemistry. I really appreciate the, yeah, I really love the amount of insane things you can find when scrying. I don't know if you guys know that, but, you can see some kind of insane things when it comes to scrying. But scrying in and of itself is going to be... well, scrying is actually a form of divination, I should mention. Like, I didn't... when I originally decided that this would be the topic for the stream, I did not think of scrying, though scrying is... a weird... scrying is kind of interesting, because, while it is a system of divination that can be used, scrying and, like, learning to scry is much more difficult because you're kind of using your intuition without a medium. Like, you're not filtering it through tarot, you're not filtering it through geomancy, you're using your intuition to get visions, and that's what scrying kind of is. And I do like... I think scrying is probably... When I can't use Geomancy, scrying is definitely my go-to. Just because... Scrying is just so much more accurate, because when you are scrying things, you're going to get images and things based off of your own personal symbol set. Which I find to be much more preferable. Like, if you see a cat in a scry, you don't need to wonder, like, okay, what does this mean in context of this system? It's like, okay, what does that mean to you? Which, you know, again, I think is preferable, because when you're scrying, and you can scry more than just divination questions, and you know, I have an entire video on pathworking, which is about the various different things you can scry, and that whole practice in and of itself. But I honestly just think it's neat. Just think it's really neat. Know what I mean? I really like meeting a spirit to ask questions to in scrying sessions. Its only flaws for divination is that is the same as evoking a spirit for answers. Yeah, you got me there. Can't really argue that one. If you are already good at scrying, is tarot still useful? It depends on your style of scrying. So, for me, the reason I don't use scrying all the time, and I do still use tarot, is because sometimes when I'm scrying, it feels less like a scry and more like an astral projection. And I don't know about you, but I am not always in the mood to see, like, damnation and hellfire in a scry when trying to ask about how bad a situation is going to go, and I don't want to experience that. So if I'm astral projecting, which is what scrying feels like a lot of the time, medium gives you something to contemplate, to reflect off of? Yes, it does. That is 100% true. Yeah, when it comes to scrying, I think that scrying, while it is... Alright. Here's a hot take. The difference between the best scryer and the worst diviner... No, I'm sorry. The difference between the worst scryer and the best tarot reader are barely even with each other. But the difference between the best tarot reader and the best scryer are miles apart. Now, granted, scrying can be an absolute pain in the ass, which is why I don't like to do it all the time, because anyone who knows how to scry will tell you that scrying isn't always fun. You could also scry into a card to gain insight if the card seems vague, or just pull another card. I will typically just pull another card, but that is actually accurate. You could just do that. You could do that. Or you could not do that. Depends on you. I will say, that's, personally, in my opinion, that's something that I would do. This isn't... Yeah, I already, when I do tarot, one of the things I do is I pull 2 cards for each position, which... So my 3-card readings are 6-card readings, for example. And that's just how I read tarot. And the reason why is because, think of it like this. You get... So hypothetically, let's say that I have... It's not always fun and can sometimes be outright confusing, especially if I ate food that bogs my mind down. You can eventually train yourself to, like, not have that be an issue. You can eventually develop the ability to scry without fasting. Though fasting will make it more effective. Fasting will 100% make it more effective. So, keep that in mind. While it is not required, it is more effective. This is all... Especially if you're planning on, like... If you are planning on doing a divination session, you probably should do some sort of fasting. Even if the fasting is like a spiritual type of fast. It occurs to me, I never actually went over... For the people who were here at the beginning of the stream, first of all, sorry about the late stream. Second of all, did I go over my little rant about what makes a good divination system? Or did I not cover that yet? Fasting is always the fastest way to lose weight, especially since I need to anyways. In my experience, that is keto/carnivore diet, actually, but, you know. As weird as that sounds, I don't know. Turns out, if you eat only steak, bacon, cheese, and butter, you will lose weight and you will just, like, shred it. How fasting while bulking? Okay, well, strictly speaking, you don't. Strictly speaking, you don't do that, GDR. However, if for a... Alright. What you could do is you could do, like... Not strictly speaking fasting, but you could do, like, spiritual abstinence. So you would abstain from vices. Zero calories will always be faster than some calories. You know what? I can't argue with that. That's just objectively true. Yeah. Yeah, that's just true. Check out Mike Mentzer's methods. Work the best for me. I don't know who that is, but I will check him out at some point. Yeah, when it comes to spiritual abstinence, I would say that that's probably the best way to deal with things when bulking. Spiritual abstinence would be like, abstain from social media, abstain from politics, abstain from everything that is quote, quote, spiritually unhealthy in the modern world. I'm going to assume that that is full of typos. What makes a good divination system? That was actually the rant that I was that was actually the rant I went on before I realized that the stream was off, funny enough. So, what makes a good divination system? Let's talk about that. There are a lot of divination systems. Not all of them are good, right? So let's think about this. What makes a good divination system? A good divination system is going to be a system that has a couple of rules. And chief among those is that they're easy to read and they're consistently accurate. Okay? Because if they're not consistently accurate, what is the point? Right? I would maybe avoid meat before Geomancy, just a personal choice, as I treat that system as if it were evocation. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But when it comes to what makes a good what makes a good divination system? Good God. A good divination system is going to be one that is easy to read. You have access to it most of the time. Or is like consistently available to you. Is easy to interpret. Is easy to interpret. And has enough variety to where you aren't getting the same answer for every specific kind of question, right? Now, for this, pendulums are bad. I basically just said pendulums are bad, but pendulums do fit most of the categories. Now, should you never use pendulums? No, pendulums are quite good. But they're lightweight and they are they're lightweight and they should be used to used for simple questions. That's the entire point of them. This game reminds me of Super Mario 3. Where's the roid raging sun? Yeah, yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this is the intermission from the Occult Talk for a sec. I picked this game up because I remembered it exists, and it was so faithfully recreated that you can go back and turn it into a actual like old school style game like this. Pendulums work well, but don't like the yes or but I don't like the yes or no questions. Yeah, no, I personally don't like. I don't necessarily like. I don't know. I don't really like pendulums. And I don't like pendulums just because they're kind of strange. Like, they're, in my opinion, they're too simple. I got sick of the retro. Pendulums are excellent for finding car keys, in my experience. Yeah, but at that point, you're just using them like a dowsing rod, right? Pendulums are light. Well, time to make 10-pound pendulums. This is my workout pendulum. This is my workout divination set. What's your opinion on the Thotha deck? I know you're not a fan of Thelema, but I'm curious if there's any No, actually, the Thotha deck is fine. I love the Thotha deck. The Thotha deck, though, I find that the Thotha Tarot deck that Crowley made is best for spiritual concerns only. Then it doesn't show what forces are in play. Like if Mars was involved, Tarot and Geomancy shows the pretty well. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that I would tend to agree with. But for the most part, I would say that it's, I would say that pendulums are best for yes or no questions, even though I know a lot of people don't like that. That's personally what I use them for. How do divining rods work? You know, I've used dowsing rods a couple times. Basically, the way that they work is they work like, if you ask a question, they will, like, move in a specific direction or, like, push or pull, in my experience. This is how I learned it. And if they, like... You kind of work them like a pendulum, where it's like, you ask for a yes or no, and that'll, like, show you how it works. It's very similar to a pendulum, in my experience. Very different system. How's your dexterity? My dexterity is not the best. Never has been. You need a still hand, if I recall correctly. Well, you need a still hand for, like, divination and pendulums. Alright, chat, you wanna know some secret Dave lore? Here's the reason I don't like pendulums, you ready? I used to drink so much coffee, my hand would constantly do that, like, passive, like, trembling. So I could never use pendulums correctly. Because I was, like, so hopped up on caffeine, which I'm no longer, like, you know, I don't drink nearly as much caffeine as I used to, but, you know, still. A little off topic, but the podcast about Hornless you did with Darling was really good. Thank you! Yeah, Liber Samek makes me feel ill. That's, my stance on that. I've never been a fan of Liber Samek. Never will be a fan of Liber Samek. Your coffee arc was a funny thing to witness, though. I mean, to be fair, I feel like I was a better person when I was drinking that much coffee. I don't know. I wasn't. Like, objectively, I was not a better person. Like, that's not how being a good person works. But yeah, I was drinking an excessive amount of coffee at the time. Which is why I could not use pendulums. Which is another problem if you are a high... I prefer the phrase high-caffeinated individual. With the amount of caffeine I was drinking, it was just not possible. Yep, have a good day. Oh, the court cards in the Thoth deck were incredibly accurate with people I know. they were just like them. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. The things I did before... Oh, God. If anyone wants to know what's wrong with Crowley, start describing Liber Samic. It's Liber Samic and ask them if it's a good thing. Liber Samic is literally like calling up Satan to meet your HGA. Like, straight up, that's like the first line is that. Which, you know, I don't think I should need to tell you guys that, no, that is not a good idea. But apparently it works. According to the Thelemites, it does work. How it works is the subject of much debate. I was on a podcast with Georgina Rose about it on the Postmodern Iconoclast. And I'm just going to tell you this now. There's a weird audio glitch. I have no idea what I said there. I have no idea what I said there, so... No, we're not going to make a counter for whenever Crowley is mentioned. Especially because, like, there's more people going on. There's more people in the chat. Yeah, it's one of those wonderful things where I don't think... The stuff that Crowley did that was good, I think is really good. But the stuff that Crowley did that was really bad, I think is really bad. Like, I really cannot understate how bad some of the stuff Crowley's... How bad some of Crowley's work is. You know what I mean? You must have said some tech heresy for the tech spirits to censor it. I might have. I don't remember what I said. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I don't edit those. That's all Georgina. She does that. I also have no idea what I said, so... Because most of my videos are, I go in with a note, like, I go in with notes, but I do not remember what I'm saying. It's very fire and forget, which is the entire point of it's also the point of the streams. Because every so often I will say something that is apparently incredibly spot on, and then I would just not remember what I said. Imagine having Crowley as your elected representative. He's British. He can't be. He's also dead. That's probably the more disqualifying feature. But yeah. It's like trying to pull reverse psychology on God to make him feel bad enough to deliver the HGA. Obviously, the Divine will see right through that. The HGA has just been waiting for you. I mean, like... Oh, no. I felt... It is kind of based... It is kind of based that Crowley failed the Abramelin and then decided to make a ritual so offensive to the angels that God would be like, send the angel to fix him. I don't know, I think that's pretty funny. I know he'd love labor from what I heard. I believe that. I'm not the biggest fan of Crowley. His Terror deck is pretty good. Anything else he wrote good? Oh wait, no. There's one really funny thing he does, where he just... Crowley has this whole thing, and I think it's book 4, where all he does is he goes through and he, like, twists all... He twists, this one magical formula to basically be like, this is the formula of illusory... Like, illusory manifestation or something. It's really funny. God. And the whole point of it is like this is the formula that witches use, not realizing that they're not doing anything because they're like, and he's basically saying if you just rearrange the parts, that's not magic. There we go. But, you know, he explains it in like a really strange way. Isn't the Obermelon kind of calling the HGA to meet Satan? No. You're calling the HGA to meet you, and then the HGA gets you to bind Satan. There's a very big difference. There's a very big difference. And that difference is the HGA is not meeting Satan. What's the weirdest divination method that you've ever used? That I've used? Oh, okay. Oh god, what is the weirdest divination method I've ever used? I have used... What's the phrase? Oh god, it's I've used cloud divination before. I've used, like, cloud divination, that was pretty interesting. I've used, like, wax divination for candles. But, yeah. Yeah, the binding happens after meeting, doesn't it? Yeah, the binding happens after meeting. Yeah, you're calling up the... You are calling up the angel to meet you, and then the angel gets you to bind Satan. And then you get the demonic familiars, and that's how that works. That is how that works. I will say, I have been reading, more Enochian stuff recently, and more of the stuff from Dr. G. Dr. G. Dr. GD. No, Dr. John D. In his time with Kelly. So I wasn't wrong, I left out stuff. Yeah, that's fair. Weirdest form of divination I've used is looking at a bunch of areas of branches and seeing if an image comes to it. Yeah, that's, funny enough, I think that's actually, like, a fairly common method of divination. Weird as that sounds. That does sound... It does sound like a good form of divination. Wrong about that? Ninja Scrolls of the LGA and Coca describe an interesting method using incense that was pretty cool. I don't know what that is. Being said, I'm more of a Western guy. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who have not been around for many of the streams, when it comes to like Eastern stuff, like Hindu, Taoist, Shinto, Arabic even, if it's anything Eastern, I just don't know. That is out of my wheelhouse, so to speak. Not that I don't think it's cool, it's just that I personally don't partake in it. I do not partake in it. That does not mean you can't, it just means I don't. Smoke scrying via incense smoke is one I've used. That one seems like it's a fairly good method, though. I feel like incense scrying is a fairly useful... I feel like that's like a... should be fairly standard, but it is a form of scrying. Which is fairly normal. Like I am personally not familiar with that, but it sounds cool. I imagine smoke divination requires a lot of intuition. I mean, I feel like most divination most forms of divination, period, require good intuition, but scrying at all just requires more. Like, I feel like scrying as a whole requires more divination than a lot of people give it credit. You know? There's also a convoluted one where it's a yes or yes no, but you're getting Mercury to answer a heavy question. Well, like getting Mercury to answer a heavy question. I mean, that sounds interesting. Smoke scrying requires quick eyes, depending on if you're trying to understand. That's fair. That's fair, I would say. I think scrying is... I will once again say that scrying is probably one of the best methods of divination, but it is also the most difficult to learn. Because while it is the best, it's also, like, you need to learn how to scry, right? Learning to scry is, in and of itself, a whole ordeal. Because learning to scry can be a pain. I still recommend the Benjamin Rowe book on scrying if you're interested in learning. Because scrying is, like, one of the gateways to evocation, booking spirits. I'm trying to think what other methods of divination there are. Because there's, like, a bunch of divination methods, right? Like, there's, you know, there's cloud divination, there's obviously the elemental ones, which is, like, basically just scrying a particular element. Though, there is a Chinese method, I believe. It's kind of an Eastern method where you take, I think it's a shoulder bone from some animal, you put it into a fire, and you try to look for any words, and you interpret based on the words. So that's... I've seen that one. How did you originally come to your understanding of divination? Can you remember the first time you made a divination? God, that's a long time ago. Yeah, I remember trying to learn divination, and I used divination for, like, basic nothing things. That's what it really was. But it's not like... It wasn't about any important questions. It was just kind of about, like, random nonsense questions. I Ching? What about the I Ching? I was instructed on a very strange scrying method by an angel. I went from not being able to now can. The only downside is that I can't really do other method unless I'm really tranced out. Yeah, that's the whole problem with, like, scrying is you need to be tranced out. Which, you know, it's not really a bad thing, but it's, like, enough to be, like, mildly inconvenient, so. Enough to be mildly inconvenient. Tortoise shells also work? I don't know how you would do... Oh, wait, tortoise shells do that for the one where you put them in the fire? I believe that. Kind of rude. Yeah, I think that's also, like... That might also be an Agrippa. I think that's also kind of an Agrippa, because, like, he says if you put things into a fire, you'll see symbols, and that'll show you their true nature in, like, different fonts, is kind of how it's phrased. It's a weird thing. There's a lot of weirdness in Agrippa like that, but... Oh, no. When it comes to divination, I would say that as for, like, how long I've been doing divination, I've been doing divination for, like, years. This might be slightly off topic, but do you think it's possible for an HGA to create its own religion in some sense? No. No, just because of what the angels are. Like, just because... That's not really how, like, angels work. I feel like I Ching is fun, but requires me to have the patience of a book for the hexagrams and meanings. Yeah, that's fair. I Ching, while very effective, is very annoying. It can be very annoying, and I will say that the biggest problem I have with I Ching is that it's very preachy. Like, it's very accurate, but it's very over the top when it comes to the divinations. So keep that in mind. Make of that what you will. It's a good system, but it's also very, you know. It's not exactly subtle with its answers like tarot can sometimes be. It's... Who or what do you think creates religions? People create religions. People create religions based on their experiences with spirits and the divine. If you don't believe me, let's assume that Iwaz was actually Crowley's HGA. Who created Thelema? The angel? But what makes people do things? No, people are naturally programmed to wanting to believe in a higher power. Like, people are naturally programmed to want to believe in a divine power. Like, this is scientifically proven, by the way. Like, this is not an occultist talking about, like, oh, we naturally desire... No. Science is like, yeah, no, we want higher powers. We want to believe in something higher than ourselves. Just because, like, that's just... It is in our nature. It's just in our nature. Why is it in our nature? I don't know, probably divine planning. Divine planning is usually why things happen. Is that a good thing? Sometimes. But it does lead to... You know, it does lead to... A study of the Hindu rishis will show how religion emerges. They were basically seers that soaked the divine and wrote down the wisdom they received. The people canonized the texts. Yeah, that's... It's all there in the manual. It's all there in the manual. Yeah, so that's how religions form. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Man, it is what it is. I wouldn't say that invalidates the relevance of higher abstractions our vision can perceive. No, it doesn't, but like... I'm saying that the reason that religion exists is because we need religion. Like people need to believe in a higher something. That's the whole thing. What you believe in is, you know, completely up to you, but people want to believe in higher powers. Just how it is. We wish to believe in higher powers and things called love. Whether we know it or not, that's what we desire. Is that a good thing? I would say that it's a good thing. I would say it's a good thing because it makes the world more interesting. In a good way. Like, if there was nothing higher, we would kind of just be like, oh no. Specialized apes that are really good at technology. That kind of sucks. Which is why you see all of the sacred texts say that mankind is special. And we are. We're the best. We are the best. Nothing beats humanity. But it's also a case of we do still want that, like, higher force at play in the world, because if it's not there, like, what's the point, right? You just described an atheist? How did I describe an atheist? Specialized ape with technology. Yeah. Yeah, I kinda did, didn't I? Whoops. Yeah. Doesn't really matter what you believe as long as you believe something, right? I've seen too many people... I've seen too much that it is impossible for me to not believe in a higher power. The divine makes it obvious when seeking it. Yeah. Well, that's because we live in the Kali Yuga or something. He says knowing the bare minimum for Hindu stuff. Something, something, something Kali Yuga. If I remember correctly, the whole thing about this particular Yuga... The entire point of this Yuga is that, it's so bad that as long as you try to seek the divine will provide itself. If you try to seek enlightenment, it will just be kind of provided. I don't know how much I believe that, but it's an interesting thing to think about. an interesting thing to think about because, there's a lot of mundane stuff going on. A lot of mundane problems, so to speak. Lots of mundane problems. Reddit was a mistake. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? Can't really, like, force anything. But, when it comes down to... When it comes to spirituality and beliefs, I don't really care about much. I don't care what people believe in, as long as they leave me alone to have my beliefs. Because I've seen some shit in my spiritual life. And I would like to continue seeing weird shit in my spiritual life and not have it bother anyone else. Generally speaking, it's going to be a matter of... Generally speaking, it's going to be a matter of, different things to different folks. That's the entire point of occultism. It's going to be different for everyone. That is, I would say positive, because if everyone had the same experiences, it would kind of get boring. Kind of get bored. You know? Like, that's... I was watching a video where it's like, occultism is personal. Yeah, that's accurate. Because my experiences are going to be different from probably everyone else's. Which is not a bad thing, but it is just a thing. Right? Just a thing that's going to happen. Would it be wrong to think of religion as a sort of toy of God to play with supremely novel or unique spiritual powers? Keep in mind, I'm talking about something... Good question. I don't know. 12 minutes behind, but I want to say angels will never make their own religion because they always explicitly tell people to not worship them. That is true. You know what happened to the last time that happened? Lucifer a moment. Well, similar. This angel I'm speaking of only worships God and only wants you to worship God. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. A topic that I don't see enough on YouTube is how scrying is the basic building block towards evocation, like you mentioned. Most evocation books seem to skim over it. That would be a cool video. I'll probably do that. That is coming up at some point, because I do need to get back to talking more about evocation. Do need to get back to talking more about evocation on the channel. An underworld design. Yeah, I would agree with that, actually. I would agree. I probably should make that video, just because that is such an important topic. That is such an important topic, actually. I should do that video. Because it is. It's interesting. Scrying and dowsing and pendulums was the first magic I ever did. It's good magic. I'm at a point right now where I don't necessarily... where I don't necessarily know... what the first divination I even did anymore was, because I kind of forgot. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've did my first divination, so to speak. But yeah. Well, it's like most books say, hey, summon this thing and listen to what it says. Then magician can't hear anything, and then they're let down as a teen trying the first few times. Yeah, that's true, ain't it? Maybe some things just need to be heard, God willing. That's true. I've been reading tarot for nearly 32 years. Whoa. Jesus. That's a lot of tarot. Are there any resources with the Book of Logat and the original Angelic from right to left? I honestly don't know. I don't know of any... I don't know if we have any original documents of Logat with the original Hebrew. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think there are any. I don't think there are, but I could be wrong. I could easily be wrong here. But I am not familiar with any. I'm not familiar with any that, haven't heard that for Enochian. Yeah, no, I have not heard anything about if we have those. Oh, we do. Only regularly for about 10. I don't think there is in the diary. It's English from left to right. I mean, that figure. Kind of figure, right? Changing the layers would be a pain to... Oh yeah, no. Like, that would be an absolute pain. But probably be worth it to try, right? But I wouldn't know... I don't know specifically if we have the original copy of the Book of Loga in the original Enochian. Angelic Enochian, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. I don't think we have that. I could be wrong, but we might. We might not. I don't know. I would be very interested to see what that would look like, because aren't you supposed to make that? Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to make it. And that's... Yeah, I don't think there is. It's... Okay, yeah. I mean, the letters will be... Yeah, no, I don't think... Yeah, I don't think we have it. We just don't, right? Be cool if we did, but we don't. It sucks. Keep up the great work with your videos, man. This has become one of my favorite channels. I'm head to bed now and astral project. Safe travels. Safe travels, my dude. Is there a Telegram or a Discord group for this channel? There is a Discord group in the description. There is a Discord group in the description. Yeah, you make it all consecrated tools too. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I know that... Yeah, because I know that there's the whole... GKOS on steroids. Yeah, kind of is. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Happy to help. The Golden Dawn, the Light Extended journals mentioned the original GD manuscripts of the alphabet had some errors in the symbols used. The errors apparently made its way to other books. I believe it. You know, every time I learn about Golden Dawn and Enochian, it's always that they made some mess up that we're still dealing with the ramifications of to this day. And that happens a disturbingly high amount. Like, it happened with Enochian primarily, but the issues with Enochian are so drastic that I don't know how to feel about them. Because the issues with Enochian are like, yes, they went ahead and they didn't use the original book. They used some third book that was like pretending to be what was in the diaries. And they were like, good enough, I guess. And that's, like, actually how it went. Which is, we'll call it not great. When I do, I will make it public if the angels permit. If the angels permit. That's the real important thing. Book H? Yeah. Aaron Leach talks about that. That's where we get a lot of the Golden Dawn mess-ups from. It's apparently that book. Which is, I don't know how I feel about that. It's not positive. It's some vague flavor of negative. It's not a very, very, subtle negative either. It's a very, very vehemently angry negative, but yeah. Are you going to do a video specifically on Saturn? I probably will. I will probably do a video on Saturn. I will probably do a video on Saturn. But that'll be low ways away. Could you scry a better version of English Gematria? You probably could. You probably could easily. Am I going to? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't think Gematria is as useful as a lot of people think, with notable exceptions being talismans, I've noticed. That is really the only place I find, that really is the only place I find it useful. Sadly. Oh, yeah. Hebrew just feels legit for that. Been watching your videos for a few years now. Love your work, bro. Thanks, man. The only planet I probably won't be doing a video on, strictly speaking, is Mercury. Just because Mercury is kind of, I don't know. I just won't be doing one on Mercury. That's really how it's gonna be. What do you think of the Golden Dawn, Nonoki, and Geomancy? With the ascribed geomantic figures in a talisman with all the angels. I genuinely forgot that existed. I'm not even kidding. I genuinely forgot that existed. Would it work for a talisman? I assume it would. I assume it would work for a talisman, but I've never tried it. I don't know anyone who has. You mentioned it was good to start stuff while in Aries, but what should I do if Mercury gets in the Gatorade around that time? Well, if Mercury goes and puts himself in the microwave, which he will be doing April 1st, what you should be doing is not that. Or just do stuff that isn't. Mercury retrograde dependent. Can help it. Which you can't always, let's be real. Can't always help that kind of stuff, but, you know. Mercury retrograde begins the 1st, and it will inevitably be causing some problems. And what you're going to want to do in that case is you're going to want to brainstorm. You're going to want a very long brainstorming session. The reason you're going to want a long brainstorming session is because Mercury being in retrograde does not mean you can't think about the things that you need to start. Where can I find info about the mental plane? There's plenty of info online about the astral, but barely anything about the mental. My recommendation is go read the Hermeticum. You're not going to find much on the mental plane because, honestly, most people hear astral plane and astral projection, and that's what they care about. So yeah. Alright. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do what I normally do when I'm wrapping up a stream. And I'm gonna take final questions. I'm gonna answer all the questions, starting with the, with Skeptic's question about money magic, and then I'm gonna work my way down. But, yeah. If I'm going to try a money spell, I suppose I should probably do it soon. You should do it, like, today. Like today. If you're planning on using a Jupiter. Otherwise, wait till tomorrow, but generally speaking, yes. Okay, so yeah. If you're, and by the way, just quick Mercury retrograde survival tips. Not that, like, Mercury retrograde is that bad usually, but apparently a lot of people are getting hammered by the shadow period, which means the actual retrograde is going to be a nightmare for them. Here's what you want to do. You want to start by burning an orange candle on April 1st. And you want to thank Mercury for the great jokes he's going to play. And you ask him kindly to play them on somebody else. And to make it so that you only get the good jokes with the best punchlines that make life better for you. Okay? Like how... Oh no, there's something very, very satisfying about being able to just play an 8-bit game. And then just being happy with a push of a button being able to switch to this. I don't really have money now, so Venus is probably better. Then do it tomorrow. God, this was so faithfully recreated. Same. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, and, alright, so, typical outro spiel. So we just go ahead and go along that vibe of a statement of intent. Yep, that's the vibe. That's what you want to do for April 1st. Like, you basically just want to ask Mercury retrograde to not fuck with you. Or if he does, make it so you always end up ahead. Which Mercury can do that. He's like... Yeah. It's always a good idea. So, typical outro stuff. Here we go. There is a link to the description in, there is a link in the description to the Discord. I'm semi-active on the Discord. Usually I'm, like, in there playing video games. Patreon link is also in the description. For those of you who don't know, I do, like, stuff on the Patreon every week. There's more Patreon content. Like, there's literally double the videos almost every week on the Patreon, including a monthly little write-up guide, which is usually more advanced than what I have here on the channel. And, there's more videos. If anyone has any videos they want me to do, just, like, ask me on a stream, or, like, comment about it. I read the comments. But yeah. Would asking Mercury to make it easier to get an instrument be a good idea? Yes. Inception levels of irony? Yes. For bardic music reasons? I would say yeah. Go for it. I have Mercury in Virgo? Congrats. That being said, it will not be retrograde in Virgo. It will be retrograde in Aries. So expect people to be more aggressive than normal, unfortunately. So yeah. Alright. I think I've done all the things I need to do. Once again, for those of you who were here at the beginning, apologies for that little Mercury shadow period delay where you missed a Dave rant. Sorry about that. But yeah, hope everyone is having a good day. Hope everyone is having a good week. I will see you next Thursday for another live stream. Hope everyone is having a good day. Hope everyone is having a good week. And if you're not having a good day, hope the time on the stream or watching the VOD made your day a little bit better. Take it easy. Take care. See you next week.